It's great once more to connect with you on a very, very fine day as we are having it here. Thank the Lord that He has shown great grace and great mercy, that He has allowed me to experience the day. And I'm sure that you have also given God the praise and you have also worshiped Him. It's not about coming into the house of God, raising hands, shouting, speaking in tongues, seeing the demonstration of the Spirit of God move as He always does. It's not only just about that, it's about what do you do in the day? What do we do throughout the day that brings glory, that brings honor and worship unto the Lord? I believe the conversation that we have, the thoughts that we have, nobody else knows what's going on. Nobody else sees or understands really what is happening around around us. Nobody sees it at times, not all the time anyway. I know um, many of you are married, and you're not always around your husband, or you're not always around your wife, or your wife is not always around you, or your husband is not always around you. So there are things that goes on in our lives that only we know, and somebody else. That is the Lord. He sees all. He sees all, and He knows all. So whatever we do, our actions, whatever we do, we must. It should bring worship, and it should bring glory and honor and respect, utmost respect unto the Lord. So may God bless you. May God bless you today. At this point, again, every so often as I do, I must thank you again for supporting me in prayer, not by way of monetarily, because I've never asked for that. I don't think I will ever do either, no matter how hard things may get for us. But I must thank you and appreciate. I do appreciate the prayers that you have for me and for us as a family, and as we minister to the local congregation where we have been placed before, and the whole world. we are not we are not only ministers to the church or to the people that come before us on a Sunday or whatever other day we have, but we are ministers to the community. We are pastors to the community. We are evangelists in the community. Not only the community immediately before us or where we are immediate station, but we are ministers, pastors, evangelists to the wider world. Every preacher, every minister, wherever you are, whoever you may be, you do not only minister to the people that come before you on a Sunday, but uh, we minister always to the wider community and to the world. So we need to, show a little bit of respect and know that, it is not because of us. We may be very well talented. You may be very, very extremely talented in what you do. But you must know and we must remember where our talent comes from and where our gift comes from. It comes from the Lord. And because God has given us the talent and the gifts that we have, it is not just for us, but it is for us to bless the world and also to be a blessing to the world. And not only that, but we ought to, as Paul writes, it says, I don't really want to take it out of context, but uh, we are, oh God, it's gone. It's gone out of my mind. Yeah, but we are We are not just talents and gifts for ourselves, but we are here for the whole world. Yes, we are here to point, yes, to point and to show men the Christ. That is paramount, you know. That is paramount. Every gifting, every talent that is placed amongst men should really be pointing men to Christ, because it is Christ that has given us, and it is his. It's like Lucifer. Lucifer, the Bible tells us that was the most beautiful and powerful of all the creatures in the heavens. There was no creature, no cherubim, seraphim, whatever else that there are in the heavens. There was none made like him. Every bone, every bone. If we know that they don't have bones like what we have, I don't believe anyway, because we have to have a skeletal structure in which to and to put the flesh and to put the organs in. But every part of Lucifer was a musical instrument. Every area of Lucifer, and he was the talented of all, and it was to bring glory not to him, but to the one in whom he served. Now we know what took place. Pride got a hold of him, just like many men in this world today. They think that there's none like them, and they didn't get it from anybody, but it's them, it's theirs. And because of pride, it destroys them. All of these sins, pride, lust, greed, whatever it is, they are so powerful that we, mankind, cannot handle these things. And that is why we destroy ourselves, and these sins are more powerful than what we can manage. Anyway, let me get off that and let me go quickly into what it is we need to be looking at in this session. Ezekiel 46, verses 16, 17, and 18. And we're looking at the inheritance. Ezekiel is still within the vision in which the Lord was showing him. It's a very long vision, isn't it? It's a very long vision. Very, if I can use the word, intense in that he's been shown the complex. He's been into every area of the complex. The outer, the inner. He's been within the very house of God. He's seen the altars. He's gone through the east gate, the outer east gate. He's been shown the north gate as well as the south gate. He's gone into the inner courtyard, gone through the east gate. He has seen the north entrance to the inner court and the south entrance to the inner court. He's been shown measurements, the height, the length, the width, the depth. He's been shown the rooms and the levels within the house. So this structure is large. It's very big. Very big. Now we are, if I can use the word enormous, then you'd understand also. He's now being shown and being told about the service, how the service is supposed to be enacted, the sacrifices, the procedures in which ought to be done within the house. He's been shown God the very presence of God coming in through the east gate, settling in his house. And when that happens, he falls on his face. And this is all within the vision. And he needs to remember all that he's been shown and all that he's hearing, because he has a task. Now, when he gets back to earth, not that he ever left it, but when he gets back within the leadership of the house of Israel, he cannot leave out any area of what he has seen. He can't leave anything out, because everything that he has seen, that has been shown to him, that he has heard, the measurements, the going in and the coming out of the priest, the rooms, the kitchens, I mean everything, down to the very implements that he has been shown that the priests need to use in order to carry out the work of the sanctuary. He's got to remember these things. He's got to remember also of the priests and the Levites, the priests being of the house of Zadok, and the Levites being of the house still of Aaron. There are differences, and I haven't really touched, well, I have touched very, in a very small way, why Zadok and why not the other priests cannot go in to minister unto the Lord, because of an incident down in 2 Samuel chapter 12, I believe. But we're going to get down there if the Lord tarries, and if we have the amount of days left, we will get into those chapters. But there's nothing wrong if you go down into 1st and 2nd Samuels, not just 2nd Samuels, but 1st and 2nd Samuels, and read the entire book. It's important that we just not read one chapter and then feel that, well, we have an understanding of the whole surrounding area. You can, and people have done it, and sometimes they hit the mark, and sometimes they miss it. And but unbeknown to us at times, they have to read either the chapters before and the chapters after in order to get the meaning and what was going on in the days of what they're trying to address. So it's important that we read, not only read for reading's sake and use our own mental abilities, which the Lord has given us, but I believe that we need also to go to the Lord in prayer, waiting for him to show us what it is that we need to see, what's important, whatever the subject matter is, or whatever the point that the Lord may have placed in your heart to present to his people. And it is always important to wait and to get some kind of leading from him. Don't jump the gun like Moses. Moses, yes, he probably did feel like he was the one to lead Israel out of Egypt. But when he then moved on his own, he killed a man and he ran for 40 years. He was out there in the wilderness. So it is felt, and probably the scriptures do tell us, the Bible does tell us this to some extent, that Moses felt that he could preempt God and then got off on delivering his people. But that was not the case. Yes, the Lord had a specific time and a specific way in which he needed to move in order for his people to know that he was the God of their forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, not just Moses, the great general. He must have been a very great leader in history. He must have been. And probably he was known by another name, not just Moses. But that's another discussion point for another time, which I don't know if we've got all the time in the world left as far as humanity is concerned. And for me, I don't know everything. It's you just pick up on certain things as you read and search. Areas and things just come to your notice. Ezekiel chapter 46. I'm going to read verses 16, 17, and 18, and then we'll comment a little. Let's remember that this passage here is talking, about the inheritance. The inheritance of what, or the inheritance of who? Well, let's read, and we'll get the answers that you may be asking. I'm reading from the King James Version. Well, no, not the King James Version. I'm reading from the Jewish text. Adonai Elohim says this: if the prince turns over part of his inherited property to one of his sons, it is his inheritance. It will belong to his sons. It is their possession by inheritance. But if he gives part of his inherited property to one of his slaves, it will be his until the year of freedom, at which time it will revert to the prince, so that the prince's heritage will go to his sons. The prince, verse 18, is not to take over any of the people's inheritance, thereby evicting them wrongly from their property. He is to give his sons an inheritance out of his own property, so that none of my people will be driven off their property. And I read verse 18 again. The prince is not to take over any of the people's inheritance, thereby evicting them wrongfully from their property. He is to give his sons an inheritance out of his own property, so that none of my people will be driven off their property. Very interesting. Very interesting passage here. Let me read this from the King James Version, if you don't mind. I'm not going to be very long on this. It's not a long passage, but I believe it is an important passage that I think that we need to really take note of. Now, the prince, I don't know if you read this passage before. You may have been one to have read it many times. You may have even addressed it in your church. As a message. You could have used it as a message, as a teaching point, as a discussion point. You may even have studied this for yourself and wondered about the prince. Probably you heard preachers and teachers of yesteryear, or even in our day, say that this prince that Ezekiel is talking about is the Lord Jesus Christ. I'm not going to say yea or no nay, because I'm just like you. I'm human, and I'm still searching. There are many things in the scripture that we have already touched on, many that we are going to touch on. Now, we're not going to be clear on everything, and that's why we need to look to God. That's why we need to lean on him. Talking to my father some time back, I said to him that we are looking into the word darkly. It's we don't see things clearly at all. And even as a point, if I can say as a point in case, if we knew exactly, and I've said this before, but let me just say it again. If we knew exactly where we are prophetically in the scriptures, then a lot of questions, a lot of what is going on will be far more clearer. Some have said that some seals are being broken. Some have said also that vials have been poured out. I can't say yea to that or nay to that, because I'm very unclear about the whole thing. I don't know any seals. Well, put it this way, the way how the Bible describes the breaking of seals in Revelation and the pouring of vials in Revelation, the way how Revelation describes what is to happen, I don't think we've seen anything happening in as much as the seals being broken or the vials, because it's total devastation as far as the scriptures are describing. But some have said that seals, I've heard more talk about seals than vials being poured. I don't know. Very unclear. I'm still asking and I'm still searching. I'm still reading. I'm still looking to the Lord to help me to understand what it is or where we are prophetically. I really would like to know. We've got some great teachers out there and preachers talking about Ezekiel 38, 39, which we have done, and talking about Gog and Magog. I don't know, talking also about is it Isaiah, can't remember, 17, is it 17, where it talks about Syria being a ruinous heap. We haven't seen that yet. It hasn't happened either, as yet, as far as history has been recorded. How close we are to that, I'm not sure. We do know that a lot has taken place in Syria in the past, is it a couple of months now, where the ruling family, the Assad family, has been evicted. They are now stationed or situated in Russia, Moscow, as far as we have been told. There's been a great upheaval in that part of the world, and Syria now is being ruled by a faction of the Al Qaeda syndicate, a terrorist group. We just don't know. We just don't know what's happening. And even of recent, if you've been keeping up to date with what is taking place, Israel notified the world that they have been active in bombing and attacking the outskirts of Damascus. We just don't know where we are, and I'm looking to the Lord. I don't want to be the one to say, well, I would never say that I'm the first to know or I'm the one to see and all that kind of stuff. A lot of people are so pompous in those areas, and there's some who just diligently read, research, and write their books and do whatever they do in order to bring out information. We just need to be ready. We need to be sensitive. We need to be looking at what's happening around us. But anyway, the inheritance. I can just become lost in all that is going on. We're really living in biblical times. But let me read 16, 17, and 18 of Ezekiel, chapter 46 of the King James Version. And it says here, thus said the Lord God, if the prince give a gift unto any of his sons, the inheritance thereof shall be his sons. It shall be their possession by inheritance. Verse 17. But if he give a gift of his inheritance to one of his servants, then it shall be his to the year of liberty. After, it shall return to the prince, but his inheritance shall be his sons for them. 18. Moreover, the prince shall not take of the people's inheritance by oppression, to thrust them out of their possession, but he shall give his son's inheritance out of his own possession, that my people be not scattered, every man from his possession. Verse 18. Moreover, the prince shall not take of the people's inheritance by oppression. I've read that because back in the day, not in our day, I'm talking about in the day of when Israel was back on their own land, serving their own people. We could see that the ministers would by oppression take the possession of those that they were leading. It was wicked, violent. Um, there was much greed, and people would destroy people's lives over what they have and what they had, and their children and their children's children would be disinherited because they wanted what they have, and so um, people's lives would be destroyed. God, this is Adonai Elohim who is talking to Ezekiel. He is instructing Ezekiel to let them know that the prince during the time of the Messianic temple, he's going to have a particular property around and nearby the very structure of the temple. And that is going to be for him and for his sons, for his children. If he gives any of what he has given away to any servant that he may prefer or love or whatever that may be, at the year of freedom, yes, the year of liberty, that is like every 50 years. If you know the structure of Jewish law or the law of Moses, every 50 years, 49, 50 years would be a day of liberty. That would return back to the prince and his family. It's not going to be disinherited. Okay, so it's just like that for us today. I believe we ought to have our own. We shouldn't in any way become, um, you know, we shouldn't lust for another man's property or oppress. The Lord used oppress. We shouldn't oppress our fellow man for their properties. Every man should have theirs. Every man is going to have their own property. It would seem under the leadership of God in God's government during his reign on the earth, and probably even so, especially in Israel. So the inheritance of the prince's property will be strictly governed in the Messiah's kingdom. The prince will be able to give property to a son. The son must make sure that he passes it along to his descendants. It is to remain in the family of the prince. So I think we could safely say that the prince that is being referred to here is not God or not Jesus Christ. It's going to be someone else other than the Godhead or God. Yes, because obviously this individual, he's going to have a family. He's going to have sons. He's going to have children. And so whatever is his, whatever is given to him because of his position and what the prince does in and around the temple and the house of God, as we have read in the previous chapter. If you remember, the prince is going to be the one to bring the people into worship and to worship God. So I think it's safely to say that this individual is going to be a human being, and he's going to have children, and he's going to be, his responsibility is to make sure that his children are to be well looked after. Yes, it's going to be hereditary. It's going to be hereditary. The prince may give property to a servant or to an employee if he wishes, that is, but a servant can keep it only until the year of Jubilee, which is every 50th year. During the year of Jubilee, the servant must return the property to the prince for his descendants. In the year of Jubilee, the land is to revert back to the prince. And it is only, and this is an offering to the property that is given to the prince around, which is around the temple, yes, or immediately around the place of worship. He's going to be closest because he's going to really be at the beck and call of God. Remember, God will be resident in his house. God will be there. The priests will be there to offer worship. They are the only ones that are allowed to go into the inner court. I think we have to, if my understanding is correct, the priest Zadok, when I say priest, I mean Zadok, the family of Zadok. They are the ones that will be allowed to go into the inner court. The Levites, they're still of the household of Aaron, because even though you have all other, let's say 10, 11 of the other sons of Jacob that will be around living in the land of Israel. And as we know, there was no other family that had the service of serving within the tabernacle other than the house of Aaron, the Levitical priesthood. They didn't have any land to inherit or to look forward to. Their inheritance was God. God said that. Okay. Issachar, Zebulun, Manasseh, Ephraim, Judah, Simeon, they had land dotted around a piece of property that they could go to and say that that is theirs. But the house of Levi didn't have any land in which to go to. Their inheritance was God. Their inheritance was to serve and to be the servants of the Lord and the ones to bring the offerings and the sacrifices to God. So their inheritance, or what they were to do, the Levites now, or the Levitical priests, the Levites, they were charged, their task was to prepare the sacrifices and bring them into the inner court. But it was the house of Zadok, the priest, who would be the one to minister unto the Lord. So the prince must take care. The prince must not take any of the people's properties. That is quite clear. Verse 18 says that. Must not take any of the people's property. He is not to confiscate or steal the property of other citizens, as so many leaders throughout the centuries had done. Okay. If the prince wishes to give property to one of his sons, he must take the property from his own estate. He must make sure that the people's inheritance is protected. We who are servants of the Lord, we must make sure that our people are protected. Not that we must take any of their properties. I don't think, even though we are not guided or ruled under the Mosaic law, but there is a law of righteousness, I believe. And sometimes ministers, even in our day and age, we can become so embroiled in people's private affairs, so much so that it becomes very messy, and fingers are pointed at us, we wanting to take the properties of those that we lead and those that we are ministering to and such, and say that they are ours because it was given to us. The principle here is a principle, I believe, that is being laid down here. Not only that which is going to happen in the Messianic temple and during the Messianic reign, but I believe there's a principle even for us today. And if we would only just listen to what the Lord is saying and what he is communicating to us, I don't think that many of us would be embroiled and messed up and mixed up in the things of sin and sinful actions or sinful or unrighteous ways. I don't think so. I think that we ought to. There's a principle. There's a godly principle in everything. Now, I may not be right. I'm not saying that I'm correct in every way. And in every, if I see something that I may have said, or to bring correction to what I may have said before, even now, then I will do that. But I believe there is a principle that runs through the scriptures, all the way through all the way through the Mosaic law, right up into our day and time. Yes, we can't bring everything under the law of Moses into our economy. No, we can't do that. But there's a principle. There may be a principle that we can use that will help us to live and to be a blessing one to the other. So the prince was to be an example to the people. The prince was to bring some calm and some righteousness amongst the people. For the prince was the one who was to represent the king in doing that, in his administrative duties. That is what it is felt that the prince was to do. He was to bring some administrative righteousness, because he would, during that messianic age, and even today, I believe, we as ministers of the gospel, we who say that we are so close to God that nobody else can get to God, only if they come and talk to us or talk to you. But yet at the same time, so many people are troubled. They're troubled, they're confused. And a lot of that confusion is brought on by us, by how we then interpret so many other things and say so many things that God sometimes has not even said. And even when we do bring some kind of understanding to his word, like what I'm doing, I mean, I may have said some things in the past that probably is a bit confusing. I don't know. And if they have been, then let me know. But I'm not here. I should not think of myself as coming on to say what I'm saying to bring confusion. It is supposed to bring some level of righteousness and godliness, and the Lord ought to be able to speak through me in the sense that it would bring some clarity to his word, so that our lives would be lives of righteousness, or lives of godliness, sobriety, as we live in this very, very ungodly and unrighteous world. God bless you. God bless you. I'm going to close out here. Our next section, we're going to be looking at verses 19 through to 24, which will bring chapter 46 to a close. We'll pray at the end of that. Yes, I'll let you go now. If there's anything that you need to think about, meditate on, then do so. Because all of this really, even though we may not think it necessary, and it does not really address anything of our day, but I believe that the Lord, through Ezekiel, for us and to us and for many others, I think he's informing us of what is going to happen in that day. And if we are alive, yes, if we are alive to see things, get to this stage, then we will see exactly what God is saying through the book of Ezekiel. To Ezekiel, explaining to Ezekiel how things are going to be, so that when we look, it won't be any way far different than what is being said. It probably is going to be exactly how God explained it to Ezekiel, to prophet Ezekiel. So may God bless you. Stay close to the Lord. Meditate on his word. Pray. Seek the face of God. so that you, me, we, those around us, those that we minister to, will be strengthened and encouraged by what we say and share with